he hasn't done on this lineup. And Gorilla also can't avoid criticism. He was dying in the front line, in the back line of both Bard and Alistair, two very different types of support. So in many different ways, they looked like they were on vacation form, or they were just not taking the series as seriously as they needed to. And Samsung were the deserved winner. There was no upset there. Samsung played much stronger than the ROX Tigers. And the question is, can they actually put that out and put in a good performance today?
We'll find out. So Maokai, LeBlanc, Rise, the bans for the ROX Tigers. Meanwhile, Nidalee, Kindred, Echo taken out by MVP. So yesterday you and I were casting and we saw the jungle get squeezed a lot. Not so much the case today with only that Nidalee ban. It's going to be a Trundle first pick for the ROX Tigers. Interesting.
A Trundle reach over a champion like Lucian. That's a notable that made it through. This is a flex pick for MVP, given they've already shown that they play it in the mid lane. I don't think we're going to see Alawi, but I think increasingly with all the buffs that have come her way, we will see an Alawi in the near future. Trundle, it's worth noting, with the QSS changes, now there's no answer to the Subjugate. Unless you're going to go for a damage top laner that doesn't build resist, you're going to be shredded if you are one of those meta tanks, or even the Rek'Sai from the jungle. So I expected Trundle to be a priority pick, but it hasn't been so far. And given what's available on the board, it's surprising to see it as a first pick, at least in this series.
Yeah, the first pick is the shocking part to me. You know, I mean, no doubt it's a good champion, but it's been picked in the past as response to some bigger tanks that have been picked up by the other team. So to first pick it, I wonder where it's going to go. It's going to go top or support. Looks like the Azir is going to go along with the Rek'Sai for the pickups for MVP.
We'll see where ROX go with their draft. They've been picking very quickly. They continue to do so. Prey will be the latest to try his hand at the Caitlyn, a champion that was big at MSI, was a complete non-factor in Champion Spring, and now in the LCK Summer has risen up in popularity. It is one of those good laning matchups against a champion like Lucian, so it might effectively be a bit of a blocker pick against the champion. Now, Lucian can get through the lane, is still relatively safe, but Caitlyn makes his life hell to some extent.
True enough. That range really does make it tough, not to mention all the traps sitting around too. So maybe the Taric pick for Max. They're thinking about it.
Taric has a lot of trouble against the meta supports, which actually recently have been the range supports. You know, can really harass him down. With Braum already locked in, there is an argument that you could get away with Taric in lane. His laning phase is weak, so I think a lot of teams in general will avoid playing him. But people said the same thing about Zilean, and you saw KT make us a believer, and KT made us a believer with Hachani as well. So I can definitely see some teams playing around with the Taric, but it's going to be more of a situational pick than a staple.
Yeah, and it's not going to be a pick in this game as the Lucian and the Bard get locked in for MVP, so we'll get to see Max's Bard, see how he performs on that. And Maha getting the extremely powerful Lucian. And so there we go, Elise and Varus. Okay, well, when they picked that Braum so early, too, with the Caitlyn, you had to wonder if it was going to be a lot of poking coming out of this ROX Tigers team, and it looks like it certainly is.
And you return to first pick. Now you see the reason why they went for the Trundle, another disengaged champion to help with what is an oppressive siege. Caitlyn, Varus under the turret, both in terms of harass and turret taking ability, are very, very powerful. And Trundle Pillar, Braum and his ability to disengage, at least just with the jungle pressure, and of course Peanut's very high win rate on the champion will apply pressure in the early game. So ROX are going to go very focused on structures, which made a lot of sense in the Champion Spring meta, but you have to say, this meta so far has developed to be more dragon focused, and this dragon fighting team, look, it's possible to be done by the ROX Tigers, but it's not a prototypical dragon fighting comp, so they're going to go for objectives, and let's see how the dragons interact with that.
Well, dude, if ROX Tigers can get their hands on a couple Mountain Drake
buffs,
boy, that's we saw what triple Mountain Drake buff did yesterday. It annihilated a Nexus in about 2 seconds, no joke. And with this comp, they're going to be killing structures, killing Barons so fast if that buff pops up.
You have to feel like MVP, if they can get through the early game, will fight around Dragon very well, because he has always been one of those masters of kiting back around objectives. Not necessarily the greatest initiator, although has the outside chance of doing that, but again, been more about fighting around objectives. So a lot more standardness to the comp from the ROX Tigers, but not necessarily the Champion Summer comp that has been popularized by other teams, but we're still learning the patch, so there's no denying that there's a lot of power here. It's just, can they pull it off? Samsung put together a very good performance on a poke comp, and now it's ROX Tiger's turn to do quite the same.
So what do you think about the Fizz pick here? Well, we'll get back into that, I suppose, in the game later, but Fizz going to ADD up in the top lane against that Trundle should be an interesting matchup unless we see the lane swap.
Still very much be the tank Fizz, you'd have to imagine. You could go for DPS,
probably
a cannon or something, but Fizz will get in there, he'll trade pretty well. Will he out-trade a Trundle? Probably not, but it's going to be all about getting on top of one of Varus and Caitlyn and trivializing this poke duo during a team fight.
That's right. So the ROX Tigers, second place last season, still looking for a win in summer. Let's see if they can get it against MVP in game one. Time to get in the game. Welcome to Summoner's Rift for our first game of the night here on LCK Summer on OGN. ROX Tigers taking on MVP. Kind of surreal to see MVP back in the league again. Casting them way back in 2013.
When I cast their first match last week, I noted that it was in almost exactly a 2-year absence from League of Legends for the MVP organization, a very famous multi-esport organization in Korea.
Yeah, very successful in StarCraft 2. Had a lot of team league victories, some individual league victories, and pretty good branching into LoL too. They beat CJ Blaze way back in 2013. Eventually, Samsung bought them out. We all know what those Samsung teams did. And
it was just before Season 3 Worlds that Ozone, of course, went to and were to some degree embarrassed at, but then of course went on in Season 4 to have all that success.
Yeah.
And now they're back. You know, just after Season 5 Worlds, we saw the team, the MVP org, announce they wanted to get back into League of Legends. No one knew if that was to say buy Kongdu Monster's spot or something along those lines. Instead, they went for establishing a challenger lineup. They made it through challengers in first spot, finished second after playoffs, but still were very impressive. It's ROX going for an invade.
Gorilla walking right into that brush takes a lot of damage from the Bard, from the Caitlyn immediately. He's got to run. And so they wanted to harass, but instead, getting caught there. Not a great start for Prey and Gorilla in the bot lane.
Had very shallow visions. They were just expecting a lane swap, given how oppressive Caitlyn usually is in a Lucian lane. And it was smart camp from MVP. So they got that early trading advantage, but basically only get one biscuit out of Gorilla as a result.
Yeah. In this top lane, too. We'll have to see how Smeb and ADD do in this matchup. And like you mentioned, Smeb looked pretty rough against Samsung. And this guy's crazy, right? Because he used to be seriously one of the worst top laners in Korea when he played for Incredible Miracle. Kind of disappeared off the face of the earth for a while, but when he joined the Tigers, he became like a whole different player. ADD very, very low. There's a flash, and Smeb picks up that first blood. There you have it. Gets the duel win immediately 2 minutes into the game.
He wins a duel against a top laner with Ignite. Now, the reason he did that is with the Doran shield. He had extra health. Yeah. I was actually going to wonder, because of course you lose trades overall with less sustain. Beyond's looking for a gank.
ADD comes back. They don't know Peanut's there, though. They're going to try to jump onto Smeb. Peanut comes in. Nice knockup from the Rek'Sai, though. Looks like Smeb will go down. Answering kill comes in for MVP, but more revenge for the ROX Tigers. And Beyond, can he finish off Peanut? Looks like he might just barely not be able to do it. Ooh, nice cocoon from Peanut. Beyond takes a turret hit. In the end, though, 2-1 are the kills in favor of the ROX Tigers.
It's really nice pathing from Peanut. He knew exactly what to expect. He also predicted Beyond's roam. They've gotten 2 kills onto the Fizz, who now has to walk back to lane, miss a lot of experience. Remember, Trundle was... I'm going to watch the replay. This is, again, the Doran shield is the big difference. If ADD had respected the item, he would have realized that he would have won the trades eventually just because he had so much more sustain. But instead went for the all-in with Ignite and just miscalculated, because you don't respect people starting Doran shield. It's been the corrupting potion start almost exclusively throughout 2016, and something different from Smeb, and a big result comes from it.
Well, I mean, and now Smeb has that double longsword too, so he's going to be hitting like a truck early on against this Fizz in lane, and with ADD having 2 deaths already, it's a pretty rough start. It's the matchup for MVP.
So usually Trundle has to itemize Tiamat just to match an enemy tank that has really strong AoE wave there. Most of them do. Maokai, for example, with the saplings and the arcane smash. Fizz is very similar in that top lane Fizz doesn't get to max Playful Trickster, so you don't have AoE wave clear. When the Tiamat's completed, Trundle's actually going to have the shoving advantage. This is one of the few matchups in League where he will have that shoving advantage. And with the double longsword, the trades are looking pretty good too.
They are. Took a lot of minion damage in that trade though. So Smeb does have to be a little bit more careful.
With the passive though, you know, every time his minions come down, the King's Tribute will keep him topped up. So sustain-wise, he'll be doing just fine.
Absolutely right. Here comes Beyond, maybe trying to go for a play on the bot lane. Bray and Gorilla don't seem to know he's there. Doesn't really have any vision. I don't think they caught him with the Rift Sculler because he pummeled him, if I remember right.
No, but
he didn't. He didn't. Never mind.
He was caught by the blue ward that just timed out, so they are aware of him being there. Prey is using the most obnoxious the most obnoxious Caitlyn chroma. The fabulous pink Caitlyn.
Oh yes. Tarek is jealous.
One day we'll see the duo, Tarek and pink Caitlyn.
That's right.
The dream.
So, a little bit of a lull in the action. Meanwhile, Peanut infiltrating the enemy jungle just a bit.
Very risky though. If you notice, Varus was teleporting back at the time, so had no lane pressure in mid. So even though they had an item advantage in top, that was risky from Peanut.
Yeah. Turns around onto ADD, and all of this is just serving to get Smeb just a little bit farther ahead too, which is pretty nice for him.
Cry this game has gone for the summoner spell heal, so going for a laning summoner compared to Tempt, who was running the teleport Varus yesterday. Worth noting that, of course, that's basically an ever special. No other team really goes for teleport Varus because his teleport ganks kind of counterintuitive. You want him in the back line, not flanking in the front line.
Yeah. Looks like it's going to be a Cloud Drake for the first dragon of the game.
Well, that's not interesting.
Well, it's a little bit of movement speed, so it's not too huge for either team right off the bat, but late game might be important if you're making those big moves.
The numbers are just too low, because movement speed is a great statistic. It's just 15 move speed is too low as ADD.
All right, they're going to dive this guy. ADD, Playful Trickster, Smeb taking those turret hits. That Fizz very low. Smeb trying to get away. Whoa, super low. Peanut not able to, well, he does finish him off. Smeb does die to the Ignite in the end. That was a bit awkward. That was sloppy, and now Ian's going to get the Emperor's Divide for an easy pickup on that Azir. That was not the greatest series of plays from the Tigers ever, but as you can see, as usual, Peanut not too phased by dying.
That was a return to Series 1 ROX Tigers play, and specifically Smeb just not respecting the Ignite damage. Ignite came down, he should have been able to factor it in. Instead, he takes an extra turret shot to ensure that the dive would come off.
I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Ignite top laners lately, so it's, you know, it's easy to see how he neglected a bit, but come on, man. You know it's there.
And look, at the end of the day, we talked about how ADD wouldn't have seen a lot of Doran Shield top laners in competitive, so he miscalculated. This is Smeb, though. We have higher expectations for Smeb than any top laner in the world. I think consensus you would put him as the top laner after Marin went on his own vacation in China.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
long vacation over there.
So you have to say that Smeb, once again, he's just not had the same sort of consistency that we know him for.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how 5 out of the 6 deaths so far in the game have been the top laners. Smeb just bullying ADD out of the lane now. Forces out that Playful Trickster with the pillar.
Has gone for the Spectre's Cowl first to ensure that he wins trades, and we'll just itemize into the Tiamat a bit later. With the changes to Tiamat, it's no longer a big 45 AD item, so you're much more paying for the AoE, and right now he doesn't need it because Fizz doesn't have AoE either, so the magic resist is going to be that much more pertinent early.
And we can see Prey using the ace in the hole, using the Caitlyn ultimate just to kind of push the MVP line back a little bit more. It's got such a short cooldown that you can use it to just trade, you know?
It's worth noting that he's not against a tank support like Alistar and Braum that can just shake it off. He's happy if Bard eats the damage because Bard is very, very fragile. So either result is fine. So as you mentioned, just literally a trading tool for Prey at this early juncture.
Yeah. Yeah, the big story, though, definitely is Smeb's lead over ADD. Despite the 2 deaths, he's still got a 50 CS lead, or 40 rather. Peanut gonna get found by Beyond in the jungle as he base checks that push. Flash, Chains of Corruption misses as Beyond flashes in too, and Ian able to zone out for his jungler as he gets away.
Probably would have been a kill if the Chains of Corruption registered.
Yeah.
Azir was much slower in reacting, didn't have Flash to come for an emergency Emperor's Divide play, so Bit of a mechanical misplay there from Cry, who once again is looking to impress in this series.
I gave it a shot. I mean, I like the assertive nature of the plays Cry is making, you know?
So, I mean, I just wish I could ask why we're seeing Cry, because, okay, you could say the meta has kind of gone away from Kuro, specifically the Azir focus in recent months, but this guy, Kuro, was the top KDA player in the league last season, so it is a big story that he's now been absent for 2 games in a row.
I suppose. At the same time, you know, I think you can just assume too, or you can make an educated guess that it may just be a matter of giving this guy experience too. It is early in the season. We've seen lots of teams, especially if you look at SK Telecom, you know, doing a lot of experimenting in the first round and then getting a little bit more serious in the second round when the playoffs start to get a little bit closer. So I wouldn't worry about Kuro just yet.
Got to say that spring of 2016 SKT were definitely a case study in slow starts.
Oh yeah.
But the crescendo at the end was obvious.
I feel like you could say the same thing about the 2015 spring SK Telecom team as well.
What is it about spring, Doa?
I don't know. It's makes him feel a bit lazy, I guess.
Guess so.
Why not?
Now starting up Rift Herald. I have to imagine this will be passed over to Trundle, a melee top. Gets so many benefits out of the glimpse of the Void buff.
You'd think so, but he's not coming down.
ADD actually the first top laner to respond to the area, but can't face check.
I suppose they may just give this to Peanut. Yeah, alright. So they're probably going to give that over to Peanut. Smeb just dealing with ADD in the meantime. Gonna slow him down with the pillar. Peanut's coming up. Rom is there too. Gorilla might help to make a play. There's Repel. Can they catch him? Fizz drops the ultimate. Lands it, but dies. Meanwhile, Max trying to make the play onto Cry, but Cry dodges everything. Lands that Chains of Corruption. Ian very, very low, but Cry can't quite finish him off.
Those moves from Cry were really good, though.
Yeah, they were.
That was actually a really smooth passage of play, a deft sidestep. Deserved more, was 1 auto away from a kill. And just as a bit of bookkeeping, the reason why we're seeing so much attention to top, we have to remember again that Ignite Summoner spell, no flash. The moment that you see Playful Trickster down, it's about a 12-second cooldown, given the fact that you're not maxing at first, so an easy lane to gank, and that's why we see the wraparounds from Elise whenever possible.
Right. Yeah, they can really take advantage of that Fizz.
4 deaths in 12 minutes definitely qualifies as taking advantage.
I would say so. Definitely seems that way. It's now up to nearly a 50 CS lead for Smeb in the top lane. And just farming wars in bot.
Which suits the Lucian. It is a tough matchup. The Bard gives some laning presence, but sustain is something that is only available in short supply from the Bard, so you'll take a 10 CS disadvantage against someone as oppressive in lane as Caitlyn.
Oh yeah.
Natural itemization is going to be there for the Lucian. Worth noting that, of course, he can go the Yomu's Ghostblade, Black Cleaver, and have a 2-item build that Caitlyn just doesn't have the same ability to naturally itemize into.
Now, we've been seeing a couple different Caitlyn builds. We saw Infinity Edge first. I forget who that was on, but it seems a bit risky. You know, I mean, normally you'd go for the Hurricane, right, for the wave clearance stuff, but the way Prey's building, what do you think?
I think it's going to be the Hurricane.
Normally it is.
But it's worth noting that Maha has a BF sword, so it is probably going to be the Essence Revolution, so looking for more of the late game multiplication of stats from the Essence Reaver rather than necessarily the 2-item Power Spike. So an option for MVP was to try to double down on the mid game, and instead they're giving themselves some insurance for if it goes late.
True. Peanut able to clear out that pink ward, which always feels good.
Infinity Edge first, you know, Monty touched on it during the broadcast. The big issue there is that when they remove the extra crit percentage from the build, you get so little from building it. It only really becomes efficient when you're building other crit items. So outside of a lucky crit from a headshot, you get so much little value as Caitlyn that unless you're, say, Jhin, I don't think Infinity Edge burst is realistic for any other AD carry.
Here comes Beyond, down to the bot lane. Pings from MVP. And the ROX Tigers backing off. They knew he was coming. Still, no moves for that dragon, and I know it is just a Cloud Drake. It's not super valuable, but you want to get what comes next, maybe.
All of ROX's power has been on the top side of the map. But all 4 kills or all 4 deaths are on the top lane, so it's been the top side of the map, the enemy jungle that ROX have controlled. The bot lane has been so even. We haven't really seen the Caitlyn get a massive pressure advantage that Dragon isn't an objective that ROX have played to. They got the glimpse of the Void buff. That's the one thing they were able to claim, but they're going to have to shift their focus if they want to actually take the Dragons that their aggressive early game really should have opened up.
Yep. What I love about Maha is that his name backwards is a ham.
That's true. I would never have considered that.
Yep. That's what he does sometimes. He goes ham.
You would say probably too ham, given his positioning problems in the promotion series especially.
Oh man, he had a rough promotion series. His team certainly helped him out a bit there. Did look a little bit better though against KT.
Setups for ROX aren't going to be simple. Oh, we see the playful tricks to use.
Yeah, that's right. And ADD trying to get away now. Drops that physical ultimate. Stops up Smeb enough. Smeb still winning those trades. I mean, the Fizz ult does like nothing.
No, not with the Spectre's Cowl, and no other offensive stats put in for the Fizz. Can't go for an aggressive trade because he's already used his escape. So yeah, just a disengaging fish.
Yeah. Disengaging Fish was the name of my performance art piece in college.
What'd you score on that one?
An A, obviously.
There you go.
Of course. And then I was like, this isn't art actually, guys. I fooled you all.
I know how you feel about modern art.
Oh yes, don't get me started.
I'll try not to.
It's not good stuff.
Now, if we have a long pause, maybe I'll just draw it out of you.
Maybe.
But for now.
Well, for now, it's Cloud Drake time for MVP. Gorilla knows what's up. Magical Journey for Max brings him a little bit closer. Max's Magical Journey. That sounds like a kid's show.
The viewers to understand, though, that when we're talking about the dual damage threat, specifically the Varus, who's immobile, team fights will be difficult to navigate for ROX Tigers if they don't get the objectives they've kind of built towards. The early Dragons, for example. Yeah. Someone like Fizz, even if he's behind in lane, can run at a Varus, and Varus doesn't have a lot of answers for the kid of Fizz. Rek'Sai, Flash on Burrow, even the Bard can trivialize these truly backline carries on the side of ROX and steal teamfight victories away for MVP. So I want to see ROX really continue the snowball, keep the accelerator on for the entirety of the mid-game, because there's no late-game assurances in terms of team comp for ROX Tigers.
Yep. Oh, Prey going way up there, calling used. Tempered Fate catches Gorilla. He's going to be in big trouble there as he tries to dash away. Pops that Braum ultimate down, slows a bit of the MVP team. Meanwhile, Caitlyn catches Beyond with the trap. Beyond's going to have to take his tunnel out. And that was a good turnaround for the ROX Tigers, not losing anybody. Dealing a lot of damage to Maha in the end.
Rapid Fire Cannon was the first completion. We saw a Rapid Fire Cannon crit come on to Lucian. It's what meant that he couldn't actually go aggressive, had to back away after the first salvo of damage, because he got too low, and then of course no damage left on Rek'Sai Bard to actually harass. So ROX going to be able to push in, get a lot of turret damage, at least finally gets over to the Cloud Drake. So a lot of advantages stacked, and that was a fight that was initiated by MVP.
Yeah, so with that rapid fire cannon, it really seems like ROX Tigers are just really into the idea of sieging this game.
If you could keep the laning phase going forever, you'd be so happy with rapid fire cannon, because now you just have the world's most obnoxious range advantage over Lucian. You walk in when you have the rapid fire cannon procs, and if you get a crit on a headshot, Lucian is just out of return damage range. So yeah, that works out well. We'll see MVP rotating around mid. They did a lot of turret damage.
Yeah, they nearly take down that mid turret. Don't quite get it. That was their trade for the dragon anyway.
But Prey also didn't get the bot turret down, which is going to be super low.
Yeah.
Again, extending the laning phase is fine for the Caitlyn, but obviously if they lost in terms of objectives, that would have been a pretty big problem.
So Ocean Drake next as well. We saw that on the wall of the Dragon Pit.
Out of combat stats only is what we're learning in this game.
Yep. Apparently so.
So if you're leaving this turret up, it's basically to bait the enemy to overextend in lane. So no surprise that Elise is now bottom lane. This is what teams will do. They'll leave a turret at 1 HP and then go for a turret dive. They're kind of sussed out this time by Max, but nice, at least forethought to ROX Tigers, sort of thing they weren't showing in their first series last week.
Pretty much. Still waiting for those first big team fights, but I suppose ROX Tigers doesn't really want those, do they?
I mean, Smeb's the one exception. He's ready to trundle people. He's still 50 CS ahead of his opponent.
I mean, Peanut's 3-1-0 too. He's had a pretty monster game on this Elise so far.
He's going to go the damage route. We've seen basically only full tank Elise this season. Randuin's first true item after jungle enchant, but Runeglaive into Rylai's, so more of the battle bruiser AP damage build from Peanut.
Hello. Found ADD.
It's 2-level advantage and a lot of gold. So
yeah. And there goes the first turn of the game in favor of the ROX Tigers. Prey finally pushes down the tier 1 in bot lane.
Worth noting that both team comps are going to have the struggle of working out where to plant their duo lane in the mid game. Now that the turret's down, Caitlyn wants to go mid, but putting Varus in a side lane 1v2 without a teleport is basically suicide from a team comp perspective. So probably going to have to see some stacking in mid and maybe try to get down this Azir turret in mid lane.
Could be. For now though, just some backs. We'll see what Prey buys. Looks like just a few more pieces for what could be an Infinity Edge.
Heavily expecting that to be the next purchase. Flat AD with the attack speed he already has, and just being Caitlyn means that entering lane and taking turrets is very much the story for Caitlyn.
Wow, Smeb is just being relentless up in this top lane as far as pushing ADD away. Peanut coming up for a possible gank here, looping around from behind. Can he land the Cocoon? ADD trying to escape. Spiderling's thrown in, Fizz ult thrown out. Cocoon misses, doesn't matter though. And that was a bit cleaner as far as ganks go. Prey is right there too to help them take down the turret. MVP wanting to respond to the mid lane though.
Yeah, will be at the cost of mid lane turret. Cry actually used his piercing arrow to harass instead of wave clear. To be fair to him, he wouldn't have instant cleared the minion wave, but
it was spread out anyway.
That basically meant that MVP could walk up and take mid lane turret, which not the greatest trade 1 for 2, but if you're going to take one turret, the outer mid lane is the one to get.
I suppose. It's still a solid lead for the ROX Tigers at the moment. About 4K gold ahead.
Now Caitlyn is very much online. It's not quite the same 2-item build that Lucian gets access to, the Black Cleaver Youmuu's Ghostblade that we aren't going to see this game, but basically ruins mid-game team fights. But it still has a lot of power, and Caitlyn is going to be so powerful at entering lanes, both in a trading sense against the Lucian that she outranges, but also taking turrets like she's done in bot and top lane, and looks like coming to pinch the mid lane and get all these mid lane turrets out pre-25 minutes, which would be great timing for the ROX Tigers.
Right. Time to take a mid lane turret if you're the ROX Tigers, and they should be able to get it. Well, Tempered Fate used. Smeb's still pounding away, and they'll get it. All 3 outer turrets out now. No magical journey for you, Max. Smeb's going to take it instead. It's like, this is my magical journey. Braum ult knocks up beyond. The Q from Braum doesn't hit Ian, though. ROX Tigers still bulldozing their way through this mid lane. There goes the tier 2. ADD coming from the side. Dodges a Cocoon with the Playful Trickster. No flanking options available. And a parting headshot from Prey.
That was actually a really big mistake from ADD. He too late channeled his teleport on the turret that was clearly going to die too fast. We're going to see the replay. So the first turret comes out, just another zoning a couple of spells onto Ian means he's completely chunked out, but the teleport is so late that he's not able to respond, and suddenly he can't go for an aggressive move because Bard's already dead. So flanking's not an option. Now he can only come defensively, and it's going to be defensive Fizz that against Caitlyn and Varus is basically just going to eat damage because he certainly doesn't have any wave clear to contribute. So if you're not going to hit the teleport timing and you're going to lose lane, you're going to go a long way to really helping the ROX Tigers get that steadying victory that they're clearly craving.
I feel like Smeb just took that magical journey to spite Max. You gotta wonder what Trundle would sound like going through it. He's probably like, yeah.
So, you know, we always talk about the mana Magi's picks when a team's way ahead. Is there a mana magical journey take?
Oh, yeah, totally. Mannerful journey, manner journey, I don't know.
You're going too hard on this one, though.
I don't know what you'd say, but there's definitely something. Oh, Prey taking some turrets. Ooh, nice flash Cocoon from Peanut. Easy gank there. Good pick for the ROX Tigers as they do a bit of damage to that tier 2 as well.
Crucially blows his flash as well. Now we're going to see 2 members come onto Smeb.
Yeah, Smeb may be in a little bit of trouble here. He's very tanky. Nice pillar. Traps Maha. He's going to have to get out of there. ADD still trying to fight the Brambleback. He's taking the long way home, I guess. It's like, I'm out of here. You guys are crazy. Whoa, oh, Ian somehow escapes again. Q on the Max. No magical journey for you. You are not allowed. magical journey magically denied.
And welcome back, ROX Tigers. Hope you enjoyed your vacation. It lasted 2 games and also 20 minutes of a 3rd game, but finally we're seeing the ruthless aggression that ROX Tigers can put together, and Peanut in particular has been the big benefactor. Went the damage build, got the early kills from repeating the ganks onto the Ignite Teleport Fizz, and the end result, when the Battle Ward gets going, so do ROX Tigers.
I was going to say, yeah. Max's alternate ID must be Lucky Charms, since he's looking magically delicious to the ROX Tigers this game.
Oh dear. Gotta say, when we do see bars this season, they've gone very polarizing. He has pulled off some really impressive ults, but the squishiness of that champion, you know, a couple of auto attacks from this Caitlyn, specifically a headshot crit, and Bard's dead.
Yeah. Very true. ROX Tigers also claimed the Ocean Drake, so they've got that regen, which is actually really good for a Siege comp, and honestly, the movement speed helps them move between lanes now as they have the MVP team push back to base, so these Drake buffs for this comp, pretty good.
Interesting to see what the 3rd one is. If it is Mountain, which you have to say this comp prefers, crazy to think that anyone would opt out of Inferno, especially later in the game with items put together, but Mountain in a Siege comp helps them take Baron as well, as Peanut might be caught.
What are you doing, buddy? All right, well, Peanut just gets completely caught. Gonna repel. Will he escape? Comes right down to that Fizz ultimate. He doesn't make it out. There's a kill for ADD. Gorilla trapped up too. Emperor's Divide pushes Smed back into the enemy team. Gorilla trying to live. Tempered Fate not hitting anybody. Prey gets some damage on the Beyond. ADD comes in. A double kill already though for Cry. He's gonna flash ahead. Goes for the triple. Gets it. Nice Q onto ADD. As Cry wants that Quadra, he's chasing. ADD the only one left. And Cry, oh, he gets the Quadra. Talk about the timing for those skills. Not bad.
Raining 80 damage from range from both the Varus and Caitlyn, the damage duo that the ROX Tigers locked in this game. Cry opened that fight by missing Chains of Corruption, but really made up for it with the Quadra. And again, that just shows how far ahead ROX are, that they can basically have Peanut be a complete non-factor in a fight, even at his previously 4-1 status, and win comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, there's just a lot of long-range damage coming out of this team. Let's look at this fight again. Peanut just getting caught to start things off.
I mean, a lot of the gold lead is on Peanut, and he is trivialized completely in this fight, being far too aggressive. Chains of Corruption misses, and you're like, oh, is this the ROX Tigers really surrendering what has been a good 10-minute passage or so from them? But you have to remember that in the backline, Prey is free hitting, and in the front line, Cry is free hitting. Pops the Summoner heal, got the passive proc from getting the first kill, and the attack speed and all the ADs put together is clearly massive. And then watching for this is what happens with Fizz. Low mana, doesn't have that cooldown for the Playful Trickster.
And
2 cells, goodbye.
Now, also crucially during that fight, too, Ian's Emperor's Divide from that Azir actually knocked Smep right on top of Maha, too. So Maha couldn't really ever get an angle to do damage in that fight. So it was a tough one for MVP overall, and I think that's just kind of sealed the deal as ROX Tigers pick up the Baron now, and they're ready to knock down some inhibitors.
Definitely a bad look. Smab also has gone for the Frozen Heart. Usually we expect Iceborne Gauntlet, but you're against the Azir, and I guess to some degree the Fizz, let alone an 80 carry, so attack speed debuff relevant. Chains of Corruption hits.
Yeah, it's on Maha. Nice flash from Peanut. They're going in. Ooh, that's a lot of damage. Bromald slowing down the counter engage from MVP. Tempered Fate does hit Cry for the moment, but the crying is all on the MVP side right now, as it looks like this game is pretty much over. Max slowed down by Smeb. There goes the inhibitor. And will the ROX Tigers finish off? Oh, okay, they're going to just leave it for now. I suppose some people have lost some health, so they'll play it slower. They'll play it safer.
Got the Baron buff, so at least they can recall fast and get some cool item pickups.
You know, and Baron buff lasts longer now, too, so you've got more time to, you know, maybe get one recall in and go back to the Siege.
Definitely the potential for that 11,000 plus gold lead for ROX Tigers. You know, this is what you would have said preseason when someone told you ROX Tigers versus the second place qualifier from the challenger scene.
You see what I see, Papa Smithy?
What am I looking for, Doa?
It was indeed a Mountain Drake icon in the Dragon Pit, and although we're at the point in the game where that may not matter a whole lot, it at least would help ROX Tigers close things pretty quick.
I don't think they need any help this game, though.
I don't think so.
In another
either.
game where they were 10 kills down from here, if they were 3 to 4, absolutely, but yeah, they don't need no Mountain Drakes.
They're an independent team. They don't need no Mountain Drakes.
Exactly.
Well, MVP needs a lot of stuff
They need
now.
a couple of Mountain Drakes.
Yeah, they need like several Drakes of various shapes and sizes and abilities. Smeb just pushing up the mid lane, getting those Baron minions onto the Nexus turrets even. Ray setting up the great wall of traps. Smeb trying to get away. I don't know what that Fizz ult was supposed to do, but it didn't hit anybody.
Push up. Kuhn misses, but I don't think ROX are done.
Yep. And there goes the second inhibitor. ROX Tigers taking that without issue. And will they stick around? Cry hit by that tempered fate, but no follow-up. ADD goes in, immediately blown up. Beyond tries his luck. That Rek'Sai goes down fast. Another double kill as Gorilla gets low, but doesn't quite die yet. Cry did get taken out in the end. Maha eaten by a troll. Oh boy. And Max, the last one standing, the last one to watch his base fall. And the ROX Tigers looking very, very good here in game number 1. I mean, they played a Siege comp, they played it well, and that's going to be it.
Very much played themselves into confidence though, Doa. They still made some mistakes this game. It was certainly not a flawless victory by the ROX Tigers, but a steadying one. This is what they needed to show. It was still very much a quintessential ROX Tigers performance, but still, those issues that will become clear on a VOD review, specifically Smeb, not respecting ignite damage, dying to an extra turret shot that he had no reason to, but you can cast that out of your mind. Cry also missed a lot of Chains of Corruption, but bought himself a reprieve with a classy quadra kill. Probably going to get another chance to play in game 2 as well and keep staking his claim as Kuro watches on from the bench.
I mean, he looked good. Ended up 7-1-3 on that Varus.
And if we know anything about Varus, he probably has the most damage to champions
Probably. He tends to do that.
Caitlyn
Tends to do a lot of damage.
Oh, yes. Caitlyn got a lot of auto attacks off and went the Infinity Edge build, so outside chance. We'll get confirmation, I'm sure, on the screen soon. But
yeah.
Varus has been by far the highest average damage dealer in Champions this season.
That's right. So a win for the ROX Tigers on their way to what certainly could be a 2-0 against MVP. Then again, you never know. You never know.
A lot of players returning to form. Peanut had a very aggressive, smart pathing jungling game.
The other thing, too, to factor is that ADD got shut down so hard early on that really set the whole team back. That Fizz pick not working out.
Look at this. Caitlyn did actually pip out the Varus, so the early Infinity Edge pickup and the AoE crits that we were getting in the late game allowed Prey to jump ahead of a Varus. No mean feat, given just how much poke damage Varus can do, but there wasn't much poking. They were just basically killing champions whenever they saw them on the Rift. Very aggressive, trademark aggressive, you could say, performance by ROX, and back to the drawing board again for MVP.
Yeah, we'll see what they've got for game number 2. I wouldn't count these guys out quite yet. Strong start for the ROX Tigers, though, but when we come back, Team MVP trying to get the tie, trying to force it to a game 3. It's going to be tough, though. Looks like ROX Tigers, despite a couple missteps,